This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MR Podcast. The MR Podcast is available on all mainstream radio platforms. Make sure you follow or subscribe to never miss any of our cool episodes. Today's special episode will be titled The Purpose of Entrepreneurship Living a Legacy. And our guest for today is Kesha Gibson. Thank you for being with us today on the podcast, Kesha.
Oh, you're so welcome, Hannah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Today's wonderful guest is a licensed cosmetologist, makeup artist, mother, and insurance agent. She loves helping people in any way possible to look, feel good, and help educate families on how to be properly protected. So the importance of today's episode, in this particular episode on the MR Podcast, we will focus on the topics of entrepreneurship, life insurance, and why living a legacy is the goal. Do you ever think about how the world needs more people with a mentor mentality? People of all kinds and backgrounds that are willing to care unselfishly about other people, support people, teach people, and serve people. Well, the truth is, as human beings, we all have a potential and purpose that matters. That potential and purpose extends to our relationships with other human beings. As the founder of Mentorship Revolution, I believe that being a mentor is not just a career, but in actuality is a person that is willing to make intentional choices, intentional sacrifices, and contribute to the world and environment through intentional actions and living. Once we learn as human beings to nurture and encourage the purpose we have as individuals, we begin to understand that we can help others do the same. Mentorship Revolution was designed to be a new kind of community. Let me emphasize community. MR thrives online and in the real world. We desire to reach minds and lives through simple and intentional words and actions. I am excited that you have joined us today. Okay.
Oh, you're welcome, Hannah. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So thank you so much, Kesha. We're excited to have you on the podcast today and to talk about all of the things that you do and how in many ways you are actually a jack of all trades, which sounds like myself. I have many passions and, different areas that I try to aspire in, right? So as young African-American women, we both are entrepreneurs and have tapped into the power and purpose of entrepreneurship. When did you begin your entrepreneur career? What sparked you to become an entrepreneur and take that path? Can you take us on that journey?
Yes, of course. So I started my entrepreneur journey, I want to say about 4 years ago, when I realized that I was really good with makeup and hair. And I was actually learning makeup, and I realized that it was something that I was truly passionate about. And I had my cousin from Maryland who was a makeup artist and had a beauty bar teach me over FaceTime how to do makeup. And the moment she taught me, that exact same night, I did a full face of makeup and went outside and felt fabulous. When I say fabulous, and when I look back, it was really kind of like not fabulous, but in that time of day, it was fabulous. And it started there, and then I kind of started playing the color, and then I started doing different things with the wigs, and then I was getting a lot of traction on Facebook and feedback from people saying, "Oh my God, you look good, girl. I like that style." And I was dropping looks, and I just felt really good at that time, and it kind of made me tap into myself more and to challenge myself more to do it for myself versus being tied down to corporate America. And then that's when I realized that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And from that point on, I was always hustling. Like that hustler mentality came. It was like, girl, you could do it. You could do it. So yeah, it's been about 4 to 5 years since I realized that I am an entrepreneur.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Keisha, for sharing with us
Oh, you're
like
welcome.
how that like really you can recall, it's almost like you can recall the day and time that your cousin, so that's actually like an intricate memory in your journey of starting entrepreneurship, which
Yes,
we all have like our stories of like how this moment or this day is what really like it, that was your eye-opening moment. So that's
definitely.
really good to hear about. And I also wanted to ask, so like did you become a licensed cosmetologist before then, or was it, did that happen after?
No, I did not. At the time when I really had to learn wigs and different things of that nature, I actually had my own issues going on where I suffered from traction alopecia, and when and when I had to pay people to do my hair, they were really charging me like full prices, like as if I had a hair full of hair. And I'm like, ain't no way I'm about to keep paying
Right.
$300 for installs, and it's nothing really for you to do. So I just took initiative and said, you know what, I'm gonna try this myself. And
Wow.
I was on
Mm.
YouTube, and I became obsessed with Erica J. She does installs, and at the time she wasn't as big. She was just a YouTuber, and I followed her steps, and she kind of led me to the way of understanding that business. And then from that point on, I was taking classes online. And then I actually flew to Atlanta to learn how to machine make my wigs because I wanted to stretch myself further. And after that, I'm like, I gotta go to school. And I had went to beauty school 2 times. It took me 2 times to finish beauty school because it's such a long and tedious program. But I knew I needed the license if I wanted to go further as far as celebrity styling. I had to have the credentials. So no, I wasn't licensed before. I mean, in the beginning of my journey, it was kind of like a self-taught thing. And then I took the steps maybe 3 years ago to go get the license. And then I finally got the license last September. So yeah, it's been a journey for sure.
Right. So that journey, I'm listening, and was that like 2 to 3 years? Or how long does it take to become a licensed cosmetologist?
Um, I'll say depending on your schedule and what you can put into beauty school, it can take a year to 2 years, 2 years at the most.
Wow. Okay. And like I know that your moment with your cousin, like and her like inspiring you and her already being there in her career, like open your eyes to what you wanted to do. But did you ever think about that before when you were much younger, like in your teenage years? Did you ever see yourself like were you already into makeup and into hair and all of that and even back then,
Mm,
or was it like developed over time in your older years?
no, no, no. It was developed over time for sure. When I was young, I always said I ain't wearing no wigs or I don't need no
Right,
makeup. But it was just me. It's just that mentality of you fear what you don't know. And it's, oh, we hear people say, oh, ugly girls wear makeup. So you kind of build that barrier up saying that, oh,
right.
I don't like makeup. The whole time, everyone loves a little makeup. It enhances the beauty. So no, that develops over time for sure.
Right. And I actually have some funny moments myself of that recently with me, like trying new things, like when it comes to glamour and just evolving with your mentality of what can be part of your beauty rituals and what can't be. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say, like, actually like eyeshadow and stuff like that at a younger age, obviously. I think any I kind of discovered those things early too, but I do know that I was over 18 when I started doing like the full face look and, the
Mm-hmm.
foundation, concealer, and all of that. Because, like you said, depending on the generation, some people don't opt for that full entire like makeup look. But yeah, I think like I've never really thought that makeup, like I never had the misconception though that only ugly girls wear makeup. But I do remember in high school, like there was certain like one or two people that obviously wore a lot of makeup and other people would kind
Mm-hmm.
of like pull that out and like make that
Judge
like
them.
a joke. Yeah, making like a joking
Yeah.
moment, like this person is wearing all this makeup. And then sometimes people wear makeup for acne.
Yeah.
If you have like a lot of acne, obviously that's how you're going, that's just like a very hard thing to get over, right? So
Certainly.
yeah, so that's really interesting. Okay, okay. So, as we discussed entrepreneurship, we have identified your definition. Oh, I actually think we need to backtrack on that. So, Kesha, what, like, I know that you have spoken to us about like becoming a cosmetologist. So,
Mhm.
we're going to go into life insurance, right? But before you started life insurance, which was probably more recent than the cosmetologist, did you consider yourself an entrepreneur when you were a cosmetologist? Were you still considering yourself that yet, or had you started?
Um, yeah, I consider myself an entrepreneur because if you can make money doing anything for yourself, that's a passion, you are an entrepreneur. So yeah, even before life insurance, I looked at myself as an entrepreneur.
Wonderful. And what's your like? If you could describe being an entrepreneur, what kind of meaning have you taken to it? Like as far as, because I know like it's a life, right? Like the way
Mm-hmm.
that some people work here and there, they have to describe like they have to go into work every day and commit their time to that job.
Yeah.
So like you're committed to what you do. So like how do you describe your entrepreneurship? Like how do you describe it?
For me, entrepreneur is having ownership of your life, being able to control your time and being able to do it just for you and your family, not anyone else family in their company. I believe entrepreneurship it's a hustle. It's a real hustle. And a lot of people don't have that hustle in them. They can say that they're a hustler, but
Right,
who is really willing to get out there and get dirty for yourself and your family and get it done. Not saying illegal, but just get out there and get the job done. Versus saying it's easier to go clock in and work for somebody else because you ain't got no responsibility other than showing up and doing what needs to be done there. But can you take ownership of your life and put the responsibility in your own hands and do what needs to be done? So I believe it's ownership of your life. That's how I look at it. I don't want nobody owning my life. I want to own it.
right. And that's really like really deep because most people become sensitive, right? Because I mean, they have worked 9 to 5. They have probably started doing that, by the time they could
Mm-hmm.
work, right? So it's a really sensitive topic for many people to hear that they're not owning their life when they do work jobs
No,
where they're
and
being, yeah,
and don't get me wrong, everybody, are is not designed to be entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, it's just not there because a lot of people are not tapped into their purpose, and I felt like that's what not knowing your purpose is a part not knowing your purpose is a part of why we're so caught up at corporate America and trusting corporate America to retire us and to fund us and to feed our family when they're shortchanging us. So a lot of people are not tapped into their true calling
right.
in this lifetime, so they can't really figure out if they're good at entrepreneurship because they're so saying, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that, you good at that, we're all good at it, but we have to try and tap into a few different things to figure out what's our purpose and our
Okay.
calling.
And that actually goes into the next question. Can you clarify any misconceptions people have about entrepreneurship or what it is like owning one's own business? So I know like what you just said basically was that moved us right into that direction of talking about like ownership, entrepreneurship
Yeah.
is not something that you can just pick up. It's probably actually many jobs, right? We can learn them the day we walk in
Yeah.
and just perform that job. But entrepreneurship is actually on the very opposite, right? You can't just
Mm-hmm.
wake up and become an entrepreneur. So I always
No.
love to hear the stories of entrepreneurs like myself because I feel like we've kind of taken the road less traveled, right? So I really
Mm-hmm.
like to hear about that. But are there any other um misconceptions that you think people have, or like what makes people back up from it, or kind of like just override the idea of even considering entrepreneurship?
Cause yeah, it's a people don't know what they're good at. And I feel like if you're good at anything, everything can make you money. Let's be clear about that. But you have to want to have that responsibility of putting yourself out there. I've had
Hmm.
people tell me times, oh, I don't like talking to people. You cannot desire to be rich if you don't like talking because you have to open your mouth and tell people what it is you're selling, what you're doing, what service you provide. And if you don't do that, your business will never grow. So a lot of people hinder themselves with saying what they cannot do versus trying what they can do. So a lot of people don't ever get to tap into their true calling on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lack of confidence, self-doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then miseducation. Yep,
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of that.
all of us. I've worked for corporate America since I probably was 20, and I'm 30. So I spent probably about 8 of my years in my 20s in corporate America. And when I snapped out of it and realized that this is not where it's at, I realized that I don't want my children ever stepping a foot in corporate America. I want them to come through the door at 18 as bosses. I don't want them to have to go through the mud and figure out that we're getting shortchanged. No, you're gonna come through the door as a boss.
Yes, I mean powerful, very.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so we are both successful entrepreneurs who have the privilege of serving others and supporting them as well while doing what we love or choose to do. Did you envision yourself in this position that you are in personally and career wise 3 to 5 years ago? And if not, what did you see yourself doing?
Not in this particular time. I mean, like where I'm at now, no, I did not. I always see myself as rich. I always knew I would be rich. I felt that I always knew it. I just couldn't figure out where it would come from, where the money would come from. So I always been open and receiving of different things that could revenue me money. But of course, in order to revenue a lot of money, it has to be a calling. It has to be something you enjoy doing in order for it to fund your life. But no, I didn't never see myself here a few years, 5 years ago. I just knew I was going somewhere that was gonna make me some money.
Okay. So you didn't have any like definition, like I want to be this, I want to be that. You were very open minded.
No, I nope. I had no stamp on who I wanted to be. I just wanted to be somebody. I just wanted to be wealthy, and I knew it was coming. I just couldn't figure out in what direction it would come from. So I stayed open and receiving of it.
Okay. So that's interesting because I know like for some people, the wealth, like it's interesting how we all have like different reasons for going into entrepreneurship and the way that we choose to like, I guess, define it within like our internal, our internal way of thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So like wealth your motivation, like your main motivation? I know it's definitely some inspiration, right, for why you do life insurance, and we're going to talk more about that. But
Mm-hmm.
wealth is definitely a major factor. Like that wealth is very important to you. And like when did you realize wealth was extremely important to you?
Yes, wealth is certainly important to me because what I found was being around very successful people and people that earn over $100,000 a month is that we all got the same problems. Either you're gonna be a person with money. I mean, we got the same problems, right? Either you're gonna have money to solve it or you're gonna be poor and you're gonna be stressing to solve it. Which one would you
Mhm.
rather have? I would rather have the money to solve the problems and keep pushing. I don't want to wake up and my car breaks down and I have no money to get another car. I just want to be able to live where I don't have to worry. Yeah, we got problems, but I got money to solve it. So wealth is certainly my motivation because I'm
Yeah.
money motivated for sure. But helping people and just being able to be that inspiration for others and that leader, and to show people that there's a way. You just got to tap into it and you can do it. That really motivates me as well. But definitely being wealthy.
Right. Okay. Definitely. Um, so like many of the entrepreneurs that you're close to or have surrounded yourself with, they've kind of like, how have they influenced you or like your conception about like being possible? Like, that wealth aspect, like I would say, how has that been influenced? Like, and also, do you think how far are you from reaching that? I guess you could say if you had like a goal of the definition of wealth that you have assigned,
Mm-hmm.
how close have you come to that since you've been an entrepreneur?
I've come really close. I wouldn't say as wealthy as I would like to be, but as far as what I've ever been, I've been close. And as far as the people around me that are very successful, just seeing people that look like us win, that was enough to get me going to really say,
Right.
hey, you know what? It's there for us, but we have to be willing to do the work. So seeing people that come from Chicago that make this amount of money, it was something that I never had seen before. So, I was like a kid at the candy store. I'm like amazed and blown away because where I come from, there's no millionaires in my community. There's no millionaires that I could pick up the phone and call right now if I needed some motivation. There's none of that. So to
Mm,
have these people in reach and arms reaching over the phone, it's just a
right.
different feeling. It's a different level because the average people don't have access to these people, and the resources are different. When you make money, the resources are so much different. It's amazing.
Yes, I have to agree with a lot of that. Okay, so let's move into our next piece. What
Mm-hmm.
challenges and fears did you have to confront in the very beginning of your career? Was there any fixed or limited beliefs? And yeah, I'm interested in hearing more about any challenges and fears you may have had to confront in the beginning of becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes. Limited beliefs. I feel like now that I'm trying to make sure I answer it correctly. Limited beliefs.
Yeah,
I feel like we all had some sort of limited beliefs because we
right.
wasn't like truly awakened. I feel like once you're awakened, there's no limit on nothing. Um, I did face challenges where I spent more money, especially in beauty. I spent a lot of money buying things that didn't revenue me no money because of clientele and things of that nature. It was just a learning experience for me. And I always said that I'm not putting in less. I mean, not putting in more than what I'm receiving. So in that industry, in the beginning of that, I didn't receive as much as I was
Right.
putting in.
As much as you were putting out. Yeah.
Yes, so I went through a lot of when I added up everything, I spent way more money investing than I did making. And that was probably the first challenge that I ever faced in that business. And it made me realize that hey, you gotta move different. You gotta work smart and not hard if you're really gonna do it for yourself and your family.
Yes. Yeah. And I face the same thing. So, with me pursuing the avenue that I have, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of face the same thing. And I actually, Mentorship Revolution, we were started in 2018. And
Uh-huh.
I actually didn't begin generating like any revenue within our business until 2021. So it was two and a half
Mm,
to, yeah, it was a long, long journey. And when everything finally became in the direction of it being revenue that was
mm-hmm.
being generated right through the services we provide and what we do,
Yeah.
it kind of almost was like, it wasn't jaw dropping necessarily because, like you said, I had hope from day one. That was part of the reason why I started it. But it
Yes.
was kind of like, I guess, faith. It was like a faith walk. And just, I feel like the wealth is important, right? But sometimes you're not going to get wealthy when you think
Nope.
you're going to get wealthy. So you have to be able to stick it out, and you have to have backup plans and just, not become like dramatically focused on one aspect and ignore the other, right? So it's kind of a lot of that going on.
Yeah,
So,
because
yeah.
oh no, I was just gonna say yeah, because if you're just wealth driven, it's not gonna happen the way that you want. You have to be open and you have to be wholeheartedly genuine with what you're doing for people for the wealth to follow.
That's perfectly said. That genuine part is important. And what's very
Yes,
interesting, Keisha, is people can tell when you're not genuine to a
certainly.
certain degree, right? They
Yeah.
can just tell because, you know, honestly, in my opinion, like some people can fake it till they make it, if you want to say that.
But they can
But I
only
would,
last so long.
right, it will not. It really won't. And, and I'm a believer in just God and, and all of that. So I believe to have pure intentions and that will fuel everything else. So,
Absolutely.
okay. So this right here is a really good question. How has entrepreneurship opened your eyes or expanded your thinking and realizations about life?
Read that again to me.
Okay. So how has entrepreneurship opened your eyes or expanded your thinking and realizations about life?
Oh my goodness. Whew, that's a really good question. Um, it has opened my eyes to realize now when I opened my eyes to understanding what entrepreneurship really was, it was I
Right.
have been robbed of my time with corporate
Right.
America
Mm-hmm.
because the amount of time I put in for a 2 week paycheck was not revenuing me the money that I should have earned. And when I
Right.
realized that I'm making this company rich, I'm making this, whoever the CEO is, I'll never meet, I'm keeping them rich. Their family is taking a nice vacation 4 or 5 times out the year. And I only get 40 hours of PTO and I'm only making a certain less than $1,000 in 2 weeks. No, that is not it. So when entrepreneurship opened my eyes up and realized that, hey, I gotta do it for me because corporate America is not doing it. People are trusting corporate America to
Yeah. You're
retire
just a
them.
worker. Yeah, you're a worker
You're
and
just a
that's yeah.
worker and you're at the bottom of the pyramid, at the bottom of the food chain, at the bottom of that pyramid. And by the time you have given that company 30 to 35, 40 years of your life, you're only retiring with $60,000. What the hell is $60,000 when cost of living is so expensive? You're going back to work in a year and you're what, 70 years old? Who really want to do that?
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
trusted this company because they've made you a manager after years. They gave you a couple dollars extra, and you felt like you were top flight security of the world. And by the time you retire, you realize that you've been robbed. So when I realized about really tapped into retirement and learning about retirement, it's the math ain't math, and corporate America is really getting over on people. And I'm like, no, we cannot keep giving these people 80 hours of our 40 hours of our week and only getting a weekend to enjoy it. Like, no, come on now. And that's when I realized that, hey, entrepreneurship is where it's at. Yeah, it's gonna be a little stressful sometimes, but it's so much more worth it. That sacrifice, the reward is greater than the sacrifice.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the earlier, and I'm really happy, Kesha, that you're passing that on to your children because I feel like the earlier you learn that and you have that life realization, the earlier that you're able to actually follow your purpose and your calling rather than looking for the, like you said, the
Mm-hmm.
minimum wages that you're going to earn, just
Yeah,
trying to survive because the goal is to survive, obviously, for everyone. The first level is to survive. So
definitely.
that's part of it. But I've always had like a higher way of thinking about it. And yeah, I want to survive, but I also know that I want to thrive and I want to do what's unique to me. So I don't want to be put into a box to do a job that I don't find like it doesn't bring me alive. You
Mm-mm.
know, I don't want to become like just a machine, just throwing out work and I'm not even really
No,
thinking about it and not really
people
enjoying it.
people
Yeah.
cannot, you can survive, yes, that's step one to living life, but who wants to just be surviving? Why don't you just live your legacy? Like, enjoy it. If I could wake up, I want to wake up every day and say, you know what, today I just want to go to Myrtle Beach, and I can doop 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 and book me a
Yeah.
flight and go. That's what living your
Yes.
legacy is. You want to leave it for your kids, yeah, you want them to enjoy it, but why can't you enjoy it? Because you're too stuck surviving. I don't want to just survive. I come from Chicago where we had to survive many different things, whether it's violence, gun violence, all
Yeah.
type of stuff that happens within our city. But it's like, who wants to continue to live like that? And that's really
Yeah.
normal for a lot of people that come from where I come from. It's like, no, that's really not normal. That's
Yeah.
stressful. It takes
It's
it,
very,
it cuts your life short when you have to live like that. So
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. So I definitely agree with that. And I mean, just it can become disheartening, right? When you're staying in those conditions and those environments, you have to find like a way to like surpass that, right? To kind of
mm-hmm.
like get beyond it. So it's just a life journey, right? Sometimes. So what I find amazing, and what I love about Kesha is that she is a jack of many trades, sort of like myself. She's a licensed cosmetologist, makeup artist, and insurance agent. Let's not forget mother as well. So we have a few more questions, you all. In this podcast, we are also discussing living a legacy. Most of the time, we say leaving a legacy. So, Keisha, share with the audience the difference between these two and why it is a level up to live a legacy.
Certainly. So we oftentimes say, oh, I want to leave a legacy for my kids and their kids and then their kids. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's great. But we're going to be here doing all that work to leave it to others to live it.
Mm-hmm.
Why not for ourselves? Why not leave it? And one of the $500,000 earners said, I'm not ready to die. So I want to live my legacy too before I leave it. And I said,
Yeah.
well, it only makes sense to live your legacy and then pass it on versus you working so hard to leave it and you ain't did nothing to fulfill your life or overflow your own cup in life. So living a legacy is doing whatever your heart desire. If I want to wake up and go to London, I have the resources and the finances to support whatever my heart woke up feeling. Some people wake up every day and do the exact same thing, and it's draining, it's exhausting. So by the time Friday come, they don't work Monday through Friday. They got off, picked the kids up, made some dinner, watched a little bit of TV, fell asleep, went back to work, did it again and again and again. And then when the weekend come, all they could do is sleep because they're exhausted. So they're not
Mm-hmm.
living nothing. They're basically surviving to die. They're going to work their job, pay the bills, make sure the kids do what they need to do during the week. And that's just that. And it's over with. Life is done. That's not living a legacy. That's called surviving. I don't want to live like that. And when I realized when I was working in corporate America that, oh God, Sunday, tomorrow is work. And I'm in the back of my mind saying, oh, this can't be life. I always said that to myself when I worked, especially after doing it for a few years, especially call center work. You're like, oh God, I got to get back on this phone. You're dreading the day before because you're not happy with life. So living that legacy is just doing whatever you want to do. If you want to wake up and go to London, if you want to go to Africa, you have it in your possession to do versus you having to plan that trip out for 2 years in advance.
Yes, certainly. Yeah. I mean, that's powerful thinking. And I think honestly, Keisha, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, growing up in Chicago, like obviously, we've had different life experiences, but that
Mm-hmm.
survival thinking is amongst many of us. And like I said, some people just can't even see it. Like you said, they're barely standing now. So if they're barely standing and making it through what they're already going through, it's just hard for
Yeah.
them to see that there is a possibility out there because they're just trying to make it. And like you said, that fatigue and just kind of like being exhausted from the day to day of life, it can kind of like break your dreams, right? You just stop dreaming about stuff and it just seems unrealistic. So
And I want to
yeah,
touch on that you said that because that type of exhaustion can kill your dreams. You become your own dream killer when you have no choice. Some people feel like they have no other choice but to go to work every single day. Oh well, I ain't got no time. I gotta go to work. I'm working 12 hours. And then you're slowly losing that dream that you had as a child. Even as a child, I knew I would be rich. And as I got older, I'm like, I know I'm going to be rich. I don't know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
mm-hmm.
I did not lose sight of that dream that I had as a child. And a lot of people lose it because they don't. They feel like they can't do nothing. They're not good at nothing but working a 9 to 5. So that dream is gone. They can't even see it. They can't paint it for you. So yeah, you can't lose that dream.
Yeah, heavily discouraged, and that
Yep.
can happen. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so Keisha's an insurance agent. So as an insurance agent, you are living in your calling to help others receive life insurance, which
Mm-hmm.
is very important for many reasons. Why do you think life insurance is needed for all individuals, and what is it like being an insurance agent?
Okay. Why is it important? This is the hard truth. This is the uncomfortable truth. This is the disturbing truth about why everyone needs it. And a lot of people don't want to hear it. We all have to die, unfortunately. The only thing promised in this lifetime is death. And unfortunately, everybody needs it. What was the other question? I kind of threw myself.
Like, so what is it like because like we're talking about entrepreneurship, so like what is it like with your sole career right now? It revolves around being an insurance agent, so what is that like?
I love it. I feel like it's something that I'm passionate about. I'm not with a company that just wants to sell people anything and just make a quick buck off them. I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to learn and educate. So each one teach one. I learn the information and I'm teaching it to people. I'm giving people an option to understand what it is we're doing. And I'm keeping it so basic level learning where it's not hard for them to digest. It's a simple way of, hey, I'm going to educate you on this, and then you got it, and they understand. Hey, they can go explain what it is that they have. So it's a very beautiful thing to have that power to teach people about something that we're not taught about in our lifetime. It can be stressful because it's very difficult dealing with people. Everybody has their own type of personality. Everybody, does things differently. We got technical people, we got structured people, we got action people.
Yeah, those mindsets.
Yeah, so we got all type of people, which makes the world go round. But the hardest part about my job is people. And you just got to learn how to channel that energy to deal with people.
Okay. You all, I hope that you have enjoyed today's podcast. We tapped into many different areas and topics, mainly focusing on entrepreneurship and what it's like to live a legacy. So Kesha, last but not least, is there anything that you would like the audience to know before we close out?
Yes, if you have not gotten any life insurance, get you some life insurance and I will be glad to help you. And if you need investments for retirement, don't trust your 9 to 5 to help you retire. You do that on yourself. You do that for yourself and make sure you know what you're getting and what's going to be at the end of that road for you when you retire. Hannah will list my information, I'm sure. And you guys can certainly reach out to me on any platform. I'm always available to assist.
Most certainly. Thank you, Kesha, for sharing those words. And definitely her information will be listed for you all to pursue that and pursue getting the things that you need. Again, Kesha, I am so honored that you were a guest on the MR podcast today.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was amazing having you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, this is the MR podcast, and we have just completed another dope episode with the one and only Kesha. I'll see you all next time. Bye.